Sexual harassment, inappropriate behavior. Yeah, we got to talk about it, man. We got to talk about it. Men, we love women. And I'm only speaking to the men who are heterosexual. I can't speak to any other preference that other people have. I can only speak to the experience of being a heterosexual man. So, men, we have an incredible desire to be with women. It is almost like when you have the cravings of wanting to eat some type of sweet, or you have the cravings of wanting to have some type of object, whether it's a car. You look at a car and you're looking at the shape of the car and the build of the car and what the car has as far as the features inside of the car, and you're just completely enthralled with the fact that this car is such an incredible car. It's a beautiful machine and you want to experience it. You want it. We have the same type of feeling that comes across with women. And sometimes what happens with a lot of men is it becomes unbearable. When you come around women, it becomes unbearable because you're looking at the woman and they're dressed a certain way and they have the features like a car. You're getting the cravings of, wanting to have something sweet. It becomes unbearable. And as men, unfortunately, a lot of men have no self-control. A lot of men have no self-control. So what happens with not having that self-control is you tend to try to push the limits. You tend to figure out ways of how to address the young woman, address the women in a manner where you're trying to see where they at relationship wise, or how far you can move into getting them to desire you or give you an opportunity. And you do that in every situation, whether it is the workplace or whether it's outside. Now, for one, the workplace. As men, if you don't know, I'm going to tell you now, you should know. The worst place is off limits as it relates to you engaging with women in any kind of capacity regarding trying to figure out if there's an interest, or that you want to say jokes that you're trying to loosen up and feel that you can get the woman to become more comfortable with that type of environment, or the type of person that you are, to see again if you can possibly get some opportunity with the woman. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. It happens a lot of times, but I'm talking about the men who have to impose that part. They impose their will on women. And some of these women are clearly saying or clearly acting like, hey, I'm not interested. I'm trying to do my job. The knuckleheads, the dudes who are in the job who are constantly speaking to the women, prodding and poking at them, trying to find out what they've got going on with relationships, trying to say little sexual jokes. Those men, because what happens is that then turns into harassment, rightfully so. If the woman is not engaging with you, and even with that, you still have to be careful about women engaging with you with those jokes, because they could be just being sarcastic. They could be just trying to let you off softly, let you kind of to move, to get you, to convince you in some kind of way that, hey, you know what? I can kind of go bat for bat. We can kind of go tit for tat as far as talking, but it's only going to last within that type of level. As far as it's only going to go but so far, the tit for tat. There may be some women who do that. But even with that, you still have to be careful, because they just may be doing that just to save face, just to feel like they're part of the team. It's just a part of what the environment is. And they just want to be able to have their job. And hopefully hopefully you would leave them alone when it's all said and done. But then what happens is some of those same women who you think that you're engaging with, they're notating some of that stuff. They're going back and they're talking to their superiors, because they were hoping that you were getting the point of that, you know what, okay, hey, it's a little fun and games right now, but let's lay off of it. And you didn't lay off of it. And then all of a sudden you get mad because you get hit with sexual harassment. So my advice is you be as neutral as you can be in the work environment. The space that women have, you make sure that you have enough of a space between you and whoever you're engaged with. I don't even care if a woman comes up to you and they plop their body right in front of you by your table that you're sitting at. You make sure that you scoot your chair over a little bit so that there is a gap, there's a space between you and that woman. You make it as clear as possible that unless y'all are actually in a relationship, that, listen, I am not trying to make you feel uncomfortable by no means. Now, there's men who are going to come on this page and talk about, well, hey, I should be able to do what I want to do, and I should be able to if I want to say certain jokes or be, hey, you can do whatever you want to do as being a clown that you are. You can do whatever you want to do as being a clown that you are. I'm telling you that you should be mindful of your interaction with women, because you don't know how women actually think. You don't know how women actually feel. And when you don't know that and you're in a workspace, you do everything that there is possible to protect yourself. That's the way that it should be. You're not there to have this free-for-all of being able to have a relationship with all the women that you come in contact with at your job. What are you there for with your job? You're there to get your job done, right? You got work to do. Your work is not, unless you're a gigolo and that's your job, but 9 times out of 10, men ain't going to the job to become no gigolo. So if that's not your job, then you go to work and you take care of what needs to be done as far as your duties, your tasks, whatever it is that you're being presented with. And you leave the women alone. You protect yourself. Because that's where men get caught up with. They don't have the control, the self-control. And then even some of the men who even in relationships already don't have the control. And they have to sit up here and make themselves feel like, well, they still got it. They still got it. You got a woman at home, but you trying to prove that you still got it, that you still got some kind of game. And then all of a sudden you get hit with some sexual harassment, inappropriate behavior. You get what you deserve. I'm not saying that relationships don't come out of the workplace. They happen all the time. But you have to be able to see whether or not there's really a connection there. And a lot of times it happens where the woman is engaging with you as well. But I'm just speaking about men in general. When you go to the workplace, you need to try to be as neutral as possible. Keep that wandering eye focused on whatever it is that you need to do in front of you. A young lady comes in and they're dressed a certain way. Don't do the wandering eye stuff where you're looking at them up and down and all this other stuff, that's going to make the woman feel uncomfortable. Don't do that type of stuff. It's going to make them feel uncomfortable. And then when they feel uncomfortable, now they're on edge. And even if you didn't want to make them feel like they should be on edge, they're on edge. Yes. Unfortunately, that's what you have to do. You may not want to do it, but unfortunately, yes, you have to keep that wandering eye at bay. Keep your space 6 feet further when you're talking to women. Keep your space. Keep your hands behind your back or to your side. Don't give any indication that you are trying to advance anything in any capacity when you are in the workplace. The same exact thing applies when you're out in public or out in, in the outside of work, in your leisure time. The same exact thing that you should be paying attention to as well. You can then talk to a young woman. I would lay off of some of the stupid jokes that some of y'all dudes say, but you can go out there and you can converse with a woman, talk to them. The space, again, is something that I would absolutely keep at bay, because women are going to feel the same exact way out there in the outer public space. If you're walking up on them, you're touching their hand, putting your hand on their waist, you're rubbing your body up against them. Like, that's inappropriate. That's going to make them feel uncomfortable. That's going to put them at edge. And when they feel that you put them at edge, now you get put in that category as being somebody that they've got to be very careful about. They need to worry about you, because now you don't know how to control yourself. You don't know how to carry yourself. So now they have to be on edge. And now that gives them that idea of, you know what? Maybe I should call the authorities on this person. Or it messes it up for all the rest of the men that come in contact with them. You hear it all the time. Women talk about men being disgusting and pigs and all this other stuff. Hey, a lot of times I agree with them, because again, it's like you don't have no self-control. Nobody told you to come and put your hands on somebody. Nobody told you to rub your body up against the person, the woman. Nobody told you to do that. Nobody just told you to say these different kind of crazy jokes that are on a sexual side. Nobody told you to do that. That just shows a lack of self-control that you have. So to combat that, you give women space. You allow them to give you certain indicators of maybe they may be interested in that, and that may be a little hard to see. But you have to, there's universal signals that women will give you of whether or not you may be able to approach them in that kind of manner. But taking your mind out of the gutter and just respecting them and just speaking to them as normal people, engaging them with them as a normal person, so that you can get away from it seeming inappropriate, or it's seeming like some type of harassment, some sexual advances. If you do those things and understand to protect yourself, because that's ultimately what we're talking about. You want to be able to protect yourself, then you wouldn't have to worry about putting any stress or dealing with some kind of lawsuit or a case coming against you. You wouldn't have to worry about any of that stuff. So don't be inappropriate with your behavior. Have some control. Work on that control. Yes, women are very desirable. It's a thing of beauty when you see them. But that doesn't mean that they're your property. That's what you got to get out of your head. They're not your property. You don't have the will to do whatever you want to do when you want to do it. You'll find out the less that you treat women like property, the more access and the more opportunities you'll have with them. You'll find that out, but we'll talk about that on another video. Because right now, the boys got to go to the park like I normally do. This was a long video. It was kind of all over the place, but I think you're getting the gist. You should be getting the gist of what I'm saying. Workplace, protect yourself, especially in the workplace. Outside, protect yourself. That's what you got to do as men. Self-control, discipline. On that note, I'm going to catch you on the next one. Peace out.